Thomas, and this is my Datsun 240z. It's a 1972. I picked it up probably 5 years ago at this point. I picked it up as a rolling shell, kinda. Had the wide body self-tapered on, had the engine and trans dropped in, but not bolted in yet. So then me and Chase worked together, did the full fuel system, the wiring system, the ECU, did the whole interior, we did control arms, everything. So as a kid, my dad had two that I worked on with him growing up. I always wanted to get into one of those because they stayed on the farm, but then he ended up selling them. So then I kept looking around for cars and then ended up seeing this for a good price up in Edmonton that I figured I couldn't resist, so bought it. Ended up talking to Chase first, and he said he'd be willing to help me out with it, which we've gotten a lot closer working on this thing.
My name is Chase, and I helped Thomas build the old Datsun here. So Thomas showed me an ad on Kijiji one time. It was just a shell. It had the wide body slammed onto it, but there was no wheels, no interior. The motor, the long block was there, but it was not having a turbo or any of the piping. I had in my mind, I think this is a terrible decision, so I say, yes, go buy that car immediately. So a few days later, this thing shows up in the back of a dump trailer, not even a car trailer. And this farm kid here, we go to unload it, and one of the ramps falls away, and we break a little bit of the fiberglass here, and I go, all right, we're off to a good start. Over the next couple of years, Thomas and I spent a lot of late nights tinkering, grinding, make mistakes, learning, fixing, growing on this thing. Become quite the monster, actually. It definitely exceeded our initial expectations of the car. It works really well. It's got an RB20 stroked out to a 2.4 liter, forged internals in the works. All of the piping was done by DC Fab, Dakota Carpenter in town. The exhaust as well was done by him. It's real nice. Huge injectors in it. It has a Haltech standalone ECU on it, so we can do all of the two-stepping that we need to do, all of the data logging, making sure it's working well. We ordered the rims out of the States. They're a custom three-piece. Is it from Heritage? Or they were pricey, but the car needs them in order to work real well. It's got Proxy 888Rs on the back that help stick to the road. They're the widest Proxy tire we could get, and they still spin in the back of this thing. It's super light. It's got fiberglass fenders on it now. Thomas ordered some carbon fiber bits for it, hood, back hatch, headlight buckets, a few other things. So it should be even lighter next year. But for now, it works pretty well. It turns, it goes, it stops, it hauls ass. Too much fun.
Fastest I've taken it, I think, is like 205 kilometers an hour, but I'm, the safe one of the group for driving, so I try not to speed. Oh, I love driving it. Earlier this summer, I was actually driving it around quite a bit, so I was almost daily driving it at one point. It's fun. We don't have a lot of tracks around here, so I do quite a bit of drag racing. It does pretty good at the airport drag races. It has a 335 rear tire and some R888Rs, so it's hooks up pretty good. So when I first started drag racing, it was not bad, but then we turned it up a bit more and we started making a little too much power for the axles, and we started snapping axles every single time I tried to launch it. So then we ended up upgrading the axles and went to 930 Porsche axles. Yeah, they're a lot beefier now. Luckily, gone away from braking axles.
We drove it down to San Clemente, California on a trip. I drove my old Porsche and Thomas drove the Datsun. We got a roof rack for it, stacked some surfboards on it. It was quite the adventure. The Datsun hauls a lot of ass. That's for sure. And on top of that, it's shockingly reliable, if you could use that term for a race car. He drives it all the way out to Medicine Hat, drag races with it. It's a pretty winning car. It's kind of suspiciously quick. When you see the Datsun, it's not that it's a sleeper because it has like such big wheels, but it definitely makes more power than you would think coming up to it at first. A lot of American muscle cars get walked by it, but it is a thrilling car to drive.
So it didn't have any seats or gauges. Basically, it's a fiberglass dash in there over top of the steel dash insert. And so we put gauges in there, and then we put carpet. We did a headliner. I put a little stereo in there. Yeah, we did the racing seats. Got door cards, center console. Yeah, we ordered some parts from the Z store. We ordered parts from Techno Toy Tuning. We ordered stuff from. I think we did the big brake kit, one of the big brake kits from there. And then we also did all the intercooler piping. At the start, I had a list and I kept adding everything into it in my notes on my phone here. And then at one point we added it up, sitting around doing the wiring on the car before it was even running. It reached a pretty big number, and after that I just stopped adding it up. If somebody were to walk up to me and ask me what the price of the car is, like to sell it, and they wanted to buy it, I would tell them $100,000 because we've got so much fun nights working on this thing, and, you know, having fun with our friends driving around, giving people ride-alongs. We've got the road trip all the way down to California and back in it. So a little bit of sentimental value. Plus it's, you know, we finally got it working. It's not breaking stuff at the moment, so I'm happy with it. So I'd have to ask, you know, 100 grand.
We'll see. It is a GT30 on it right now. We'll probably go up to a GT35. That's going to be the power range that's a little bit higher. The problem is, like, we would lose a little bit of drivability, and Thomas drives this thing all of the time. There's a point where it's his daily driver in the summertime. You have a certain efficiency range that the turbo likes to operate in. So when we get a larger turbo and we move our efficiency map or our compressor map up into a higher range, we sacrifice a bit of the lower range. So the engine is very happy, you know, under boost, but below that, like when it's in vacuum or 0 PSI, it's just a 2.4 liter engine. It doesn't make a whole lot of power. So it would take a little bit extra time to spool up the turbo until we put maybe a little baby shot of nitrous would wake it up. But yeah, we'll see. It depends if my car gets a little faster than his is gonna have to get faster. He picks up a lot of girls in it.
So the reason why there was a frog on the dash, we ended up staying at Laguna Seca, the racetrack down, I think it's in California. So we ended up staying there, we camped there. So we showed up the day before, we watched some races, and Chase got some ride-alongs. And then I did not, I just hung out and talked to people. And we camped there, and we ended up finding this guy sitting on the picnic table at my campsite. So they made the joke, they're like, you should bring it with you. So I stuck him on the dash.
Well, good luck.
Good luck, yeah. Good luck, frog. It was garage kept most of its life here.
Really?
Until it got to be. Not anymore. Well, the nice thing about this is the way it is that, like, people get in and, you know, they're like, oh, sorry about the door, like they closed it hard. I'm like, don't worry, that's not this type. I love watching people's reactions too. Like, I love taking people for rides. It's also a lot of fun.
Yeah, he needs to go fast. Almost picked up my heart for a little bit.
Yeah.
That's too bad. That's too bad. Lord. Oh my God.
How you doing, rock star? Feeling like a movie star yet?
Nervous there for a second, didn't I?
Yep. I'm good.